Hello and welcome to another Daily Dose of Insights powered by Container Exchange. My name is Christian, and every other day we bring to you the key news, stories, and data points that move container markets and hence your business. Today it's Wednesday, so we typically look a little bit at some of the graphs that shape the markets. But today I read two very, very interesting articles that I just want to share the core themes with you for your consideration. Let me just quickly share my screen here. So two core themes. Number one, Panama Canal. Of course, an ongoing theme topic over the past couple of weeks, if not months. And what I read this morning was particularly interesting, I thought, because the Panama Canal Authority essentially said, hey, look, we don't expect a significant improvement in this situation until 2028. So another 5 years from now, as investments into increasing the capacity in light of sort of lower water availability requires time. As a reminder, what happened here, so there was a significant shortfall in rain in Panama. So the lake that essentially fuels or powers the Panama Canal and is required for the operation of the locks for each vessel essentially is running dry, so that the Panama Canal Authority had to limit the number of transits through the canal significantly. And what this means now in terms of sort of impact is, of course, daily transits continue to be restricted, and even more important, almost, there will be further draft limits. So, for example, now the draft limit in the Panama Canal already decreased from 50 foot to about 44 foot, and carriers lose about 350 TEUs of capacity on each vessel that transits the Panama Canal per 1 foot draft. So these six feet already mean sort of a decrease in vessel capacity of around about 2,100 TEUs, which of course is significant and further incentivizes lines to look for alternative solutions, be it further ramp up of capacity into the West Coast, into the US West Coast instead of the East Coast or Gulf Coast ports, and alternative transits, for example, through the Suez Canal, where, of course, we also know there's a little bit of a political instability there, which might also impact this choke point of global trade going forward. So very interesting to watch, especially if you're interested in container availability, container prices in the US East Coast versus the West Coast. And of course, intermodal transport within the US is also impacted by this if more cargo comes in through the West Coast. And then the second core theme that I read about this morning, very interesting, there's some annual contract negotiations ongoing where it really now shows that carriers are facing a very, very difficult situation in many of these negotiations between accepting a rate that will bring them the cargo and accepting a rate that will allow them to stay profitable per TEU. And apparently there's a quite significant push also within the carriers to stay above the profitability line, which makes sense. But that ultimately will mean that carriers will be forced to lay up more capacity. Even the new build 24,000 TEU vessels that are coming off the yards right as we speak and towards the end of the year and into 2024, excuse me. And these new build vessels sort of might actually be parked right when they hit the water, in order to allow the carriers to operate those services with lower capacity vessels, in order to avoid the vessels being half full. Of course, also very interesting, typically for our customers, our exchange users, is what is the impact or the relative impact on prices between SOCs, so shipper-owned containers, and carrier-owned containers. And what we expect here is that carriers, it will continue to be increasingly attractive to just take any unit where transport costs or transport charges are above variable costs. And that is particularly true, of course, for SOCs, because there you just need to fill the spot on the vessel. You don't have to add any calculational or calculatory equipment cost to your freight rate there. So actually, we expect SOC freight rates to improve in relative to COC rates going forward. In a very low rate environment, that might not be much, but every dollar counts, of course. And so in order to secure profitability or secure competitiveness, freight forwarders should now also look into negotiating SOC rates alongside their annual COC contracts. Cool, that is it from me from us for today. Let me just quickly stop sharing my screen. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Have a fantastic rest of the week, and yeah, maybe read up on some of those core themes. Very, very keen to also hear your opinion, and feel free to drop that in the comments below the video. Thanks a lot, and talk to you all on Friday. Take care.